everybody. So the topic of our presentation today is essentially around how we can go ahead and incorporate AI in HR, but this is around very relevant, grounded use cases around how our clients globally that we serve today have utilized HR technology and have incorporated multiple use cases of AI. So to start off with, who's Darwinbox? We are a global HR technology provider who have operations across multiple countries from the US to the Middle East to parts of South Asia and Southeast Asia. And today, we've been in the market since 10 years, broadly close to about 1,000 global customers, 3 million end users, and 130 countries that these 3 million end users who love and use the Darwinbox platform every day reside in. Broadly, in terms of recognitions, we are part of the Magic Quadrant of Gartner, the IDC major players, and the Forrester's HCM Wave. Just for context for this crowd, these three usually are the primest pieces of real estate for any technology vendor out there, from a global standpoint. We are also backed by multiple investors, two of them actually very operationally run SaaS companies. So these are Microsoft and Salesforce. Both of them don't like each other as organizations, but for a common cause, which I will explain to you later, they came on board and invested in Darwinbox. We also have the likes of a lot of financial investors, the likes of Peak XV or erstwhile Sequoia, KKR, one of the largest private equities globally, and TCV, which is Technology Crossover Ventures, a company which is known for taking late-stage companies public to the IPO, and that's the journey that we are on. Moving on. While broadly the platform is sector agnostic, and we do serve across multiple segments, across multiple geos, but just to give you a glimpse of a section of clients that we work with a lot of global brands. These are brands which are headquartered in the West, but a lot of their Eastern operations in the Middle East, Africa, and Asian geographies utilize us. Just to say that policies of HR are very contextual to a particular country and a region. And the culture and context of a particular citizen or an employee goes ahead and influences the policy. Second is a lot of banking and financial sector organizations. In fact, it is our largest segment globally by revenue. A lot of real estate firms, very relevant for organizations in this particular geography and context. Distributed workforces. What I mean by distributed workforces is these are organizations which have presence of a lot of blue-collar employees, frontline. And these are workforces which are distributed across different locations, across different countries. Why this becomes relevant in an HR technology use case is ideally a lot of your technology plus manpower cost, which is essentially the hidden cost when you buy any technology, increase significantly the more distributed your workforce is. And we handle, that whole gamut of technology plus manpower cost in a very efficient manner when you look at distributed workforces. Last but not the least is conglomerates. It is a concept which is very typical of Middle East, Africa, and Asia. The West usually doesn't have the concept of conglomerates. It's usually businesses which go deep into a particular sector or segment that you see in the West. But as a vendor which is originated from Asia, this is a context that we solve for very well. Moving on, like I mentioned before, that Microsoft was one of the investors of Darwinbox. The investment, it's almost been 2 years since this got actualized. And this investment was quite important for us as a milestone because it is the first HR technology vendor that Microsoft has chosen to invest in globally. And the reason why Microsoft did that is because we complement their Dynamics, ERP plus CRM suite, as some of you might be aware, very well by providing an HCM lens to it. The second element is also that the philosophies of both organizations merge in the sense that both of us are all towards end employee experience. And end employee experience in an HR technology platform matters a lot because it is the only platform in your organization which touches everybody. Even the last person in the rank and file who might be at a construction site, at a retail store, at probably an oil and gas facility, will also, say, apply for a leave, as is the case that a manager would approve, let's say, for an attendance. As is the case, probably a CXO through his or her EA will probably view data and analytics from the HCM platform. and thus providing a platform which is easy to use at scale for a complex organization spread across single or multiple countries becomes supremely important. Moving on. Just to give you some bits of what is the work that we are doing with Microsoft, it's a very deep product collaboration with Microsoft. So we're one of the few HR technology vendors globally who has a bot on Teams. And this bot on Teams, as we'll showcase in some of the future slides, helps you get access to a lot of data and execute a lot of HR transactions right on Teams. The second is a native analytics layer through Power BI, and we'll showcase as to how various elements around OpenAI, which is the underlying AI algorithm for ChatGPT from Microsoft, helps you in easily delivering your analytics interfaces. Last but not the least, and I see that a lot of previous conversations were revolving around talent management and learning, and we integrate very deeply with Viva Insights. Moving on. So this investment, like I said, is quite special for 2-3 reasons from an AI standpoint. The first is we get early access to a lot of OpenAI and ChatGPT algorithms from Microsoft. To be precise, we get it 6 months before it's released to the market, which enables us to do a lot more testing on some of these AI algorithms, which by themselves are changing very fast in the market today. Second, about the team spot that I mentioned. Third is also various access specifically with respect to Azure AI experts who then help us deploy this across multiple geos, including Qatar, which has an Azure availability zone. So broadly, let's come to the specific industry landscape of AI and HR to begin with, if you can move forward. And this slide just demonstrates that AI is becoming real. And what I mean by real, if you just go through statistics, which is a survey from McKinsey, is that about 60,000 companies globally today, their core businesses are built around something which is linked to an AI. Second, 35% of the world's businesses work in some form or format with respect to investments in AI. And while this trend is increasing at a very rapid pace, but if you move forward, then what you see is that according to Gartner, while 76% of the leaders agree that they need to adopt something or the other in AI in the next 12 to 24 months, but only 22% of them are aware about how exactly to do this. And there's a huge gap between aspiration versus actuality, which is, people need to know how to adopt this in day-to-day life, while obviously there's enough media globally which is around AI. So specifically to break this down, we at Darwinbox believe that there are 5 fundamental layers to what an AI can do in an organization. If you can move forward. Yeah. And these levels are basis our primary research across 150 organizations in our sample set of 1,000 organizations that we work with. And every organization has to undergo this transition. So there is, while you can choose to go head start into developing AI and inculcating it in your organization, without traversing these levels, it is impossible for you to go towards, let's say, a talent intelligence in level 4, for example. So it starts off with the bare basic, which is using AI for content generation and personalization. This can be things like, let's say, an automatic goal generator in a performance management, for example. To AI for operational efficiency, which can be various workflows in your organization instead of somebody designing it, like, let's say, consultants who are available in the market to develop this. You probably just want to write a script saying, I need a 3-level workflow with these particular approval flows and these particular forms. And then AI does that workflow generated for you in real time. To AI for employee experience. These can be things around engagement surveys and sentiment analysis to figure out indicators such as early attrition risks in various organizations, for example. To AI for talent intelligence, a lot of it around skills and the various governmental agendas, towards furthering their populations that are exhibited in this particular region today. Last but not the least, for contextual intelligence, which is what is the end result of people using the platform and people executing transactions, HR operational as well as strategic transactions on the platform. And today, what I intend to do is break down each of these levels through use cases which we've seen various organizations adopt to help you realize what are the aspects of AI which can give you return on investment, so to say, by utilization of some of these things in daily life. So let's start with the first one, right, which is AI for content generation. If you can move forward.
Sure.
So let's exhibit this through a use case. So this is a job description which is automatically getting created on the platform. And essentially, a lot of you might think...
your company's past and current roles, I craft the most relevant job descriptions. Plus, I identify potential biases and flag them for recruiters to refine, ensuring inclusive job postings that attract a diverse range of candidates.
So most of you might be thinking, hey, probably I can go to a ChatGPT or a Grok and get this same particular JD. But the difference is that while you can, of course, get a generic job description from any of these algorithms, but what an HR tech platform has over and above this is multiple contextual elements of that particular role. The industry or sub-industry that he or she is associated with, the band or grade level, the employee type that he or she has. And a lot of these aspects feed directly or indirectly into how your job description actually pans out in the first place. Again, different examples of content generation, like I told you before, can also be an automated goal generator, which is a suggestive goal which is generated basis inputs of employee data, his or her location, employee type, band, grade, so on and so forth. And of course, you can go ahead and edit those goals. And needless to say, these goals are smart, which can be generated through AI. Moving on, let's go to the next level, which is around operational efficiency. And one of the examples of operational efficiency is if you look at expenses or reimbursements as a module in an HR technology platform, how can you go ahead and detect an anomaly risk in one of the expenses which are filed by any specific employee? And there are multiple dimensions to this, right? For example, these can be aspects like an expense date is on a weekly off. Two, it can be the fact that, hey, there's a particular restaurant and a particular number of people, and usually you see the bill between 500 to 1,000 dirhams, but today the bill is 5,000 Qatari riyals, for example. And multiple other aspects which an AI can go ahead and figure out. Other examples of operational efficiency, like I mentioned before, can be the automated workflow generator, which is you type out what is the kind of workflow that you want, and AI does the job for you. So the first two levels is more around making sure that your HR operations and the actual extent of manpower that you utilize to go ahead and track HR operations today, or scale up for HR operations in the future, which is, can I scale from, let's say, 2,000 employees to 5,000 employees, but with the same number of HR ops people, or even reduction in number of that HR ops people, is what the first two levels pertain to. Going on to level 3 now. So level 3 is more around employee experience. And the use case of employee experience that you're seeing here is specifically around execution of a transaction or finding information, which is a payslip or a performance review document, as you see here. But the interesting part is this is not happening on our native mobile application. This is actually happening on Microsoft Teams. And of course, there's a research by Microsoft, and we also supplement it with the fact that people these days don't like switching applications. They don't like a separate application for HR technology, separate application for communication, separate application for any other thing. And how good will it be with respect to adoption if you go ahead and provide your interface for HR technology within Microsoft Teams? And that's exactly what we've done today. So any sort of access to data, and this access to data can be as simple as your leave balance. It can also be probably a policy which is within a particular document which AI can then go ahead and parse basis your role. Like, for example, what is my referral policy in case if I refer somebody above grade G2 in an organization? Might be very different for your particular role as compared to somebody else, and AI can get this information for you. It can also be execution of transactions. For example, a simple example of execution of transactions is editing a goal, which is already there. A relatively complex use case, which can be sentiment-driven, can be, I am sick today, and the platform recognizes that, hey, probably you want to apply for a sick leave, which is why you're mentioning this particular intent of I'm sick today. So it's a lot lesser number of clicks. It's conversational, which is much more intuitive to us as humans. And it is on an application which believe it or not, everybody is forced to use in the realm of work today. The other example now, if we go to level 4, which is around talent intelligence, is more around stack ranking. Now, what is stack ranking fundamentally? Stack ranking essentially gives you a mix between your job description as one document and the CV of a candidate as the second document. And while some of the elements can be directly correlated, for example, number of years of work experience, for example, the current location of this person, for example, the existence of a national ID to work in this country. But some of the other things are also indirect correlations. For example, the skills that he or she has to exhibit for a particular role. And this can go deeper because we have a native skills ontology with almost 40,000 skills which we built internally. And the weightage of a particular skill in a particular sector can be very different across two roles. For example, a corporate and a retail banking person in a BFSI segment might have very different weightages of skills in the same role that he or she is doing within a particular organization. Moving on to the second use case in talent intelligence is around interview questions. So the system goes ahead and reads the role that the person is applying for, which is the JD, reads his or her CV and multiple other elements in that CV, and then suggests some of the questions which you can use as aid to go ahead and then execute an interview in the first place. Lastly, in talent intelligence, is the system going ahead and showing a recommended career path for an employee. And needless to say, this career path need not be linear. For example, it's very much possible that a person who's today in the finance function, let's say, might have attributes to move into the IT function. Maybe he or she is good with technology skills. And system recognizes this through interactions that that employee has done on the platform. For example, the interactions can be feedback, which is given by peers from IT when he or she would have attended a particular event. Interactions can be, let's say, promotions that this person has got from the manager and what feedback has the manager written in each and every promotion. And these are some of the elements which, at scale, make a lot of difference to organizations. The last but not the least is around business intelligence. And like I was mentioning before, conversation is what we are used to as humans. Why should we, let's say, do 6 or 7 clicks to filter things to, let's say, get an analytics report or write an email to the central analytics team in an organization to probably get a chart? You can just converse, like the way that you see on the top right on your screen, about anything, visual or non-visual, and the analytics, again, is thrown up on the platform very easily. And this, needless to say, can be democratized. What I mean by democratized is a manager can have access to this for his or her reportees. A head of department can have access. A CEO can also have access for the entire organization. So these are some of the elements which we feel, and this is just the beginning, wherein AI can actually add a tangible benefit and difference to various organizations at scale. And these are just a glimpse of some of the use cases that we've seen across different levels of how our organizations and clients that we've been having have been using some of these AI use cases. So feel free, in case if you want to explore more, there are many more. These are just about 20% of the use cases, to be frank, in the given time that I could cover. But happy to address you guys at the booth in case if there's anything else. Thanks for your time. Yeah.